Okay, Aaron, I think we're out there.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Hear you fine. You probably want to tip your screen down a little bit though. There you go.
No, then you'll see what it looks like in here.
Okay.
I got my 24-year-old daughter to come help me.
Okay.
She fixed it.
Everybody else is on. Aaron, how do I close the group chat window? Never mind, I got it.
Okay. Yeah, we're streaming on YouTube.
Okay, I'm hitting record and we will get started. Okay, welcome everybody to the first Town of Rochester Zoom live stream meeting. We're going to start as usual with the pledge to the flag. I have it behind me. I'm going to turn my computer to it. I'm not expecting everyone to stand up today, but if we do it from our chairs, I'd still like to do the pledge. So I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I'd also like us to just have a moment of remembrance for a very important man in the community who passed in March, Harold Lipton, former supervisor, town justice, former councilman, former highway superintendent. The reason the Harold Lipton Community Center exists. So we could just have a brief moment of silence in his honor. Thank you for that. Kate, I'm going to ask you to do the roll call, please.
Councilwoman Anowen.
Here.
Councilwoman Hagen Depew.
Here.
Councilman Hewitt.
Here.
Councilman Paddock.
Here.
Supervisor Baden.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. I am going, also present are Attorney for the town, Mary Lou Christiana, and Highway Superintendent Jeffrey Fry by phone. I am going to start out with a brief statement that I would like to make here. Okay. Are you all seeing the screen? Because my screen obliterates the other one, so.
We see you.
Okay, I have to share the screen, I'm sorry. I'm learning here. Okay, here we go. Okay, I've confirmed with the town's council that tonight's meeting has been convened in accordance with the governor's March 13th, 2020 Executive Order 202.1, which suspends certain provisions of the Open Meetings Law to allow a municipal board to convene a meeting via video conferencing. In accordance with the executive order, the public has been provided with the ability to view tonight's work session meeting via YouTube, and a transcript will be provided at a later date. The town clerk has completed a roll call of the board members, and there is a quorum present for this meeting. I have also confirmed with the town clerk that this meeting has been duly noticed. We have fulfilled our legal notice requirements by posting notice on the town clerk bulletin board and outside door, posting legal notice in the Shangam Journal and Daily Freeman. Kate, is that correct? In
Yes.
both papers? Thank you. posting notice on the town's website and listing on the supervisor's Facebook page. So with that being said, we will move into our agenda. Our first order of business was supposed to have been a public hearing tonight. That public hearing has been canceled. Apologies here. I just got to get back to where I was supposed to be. So.
Hey, Mike, you have the option to mute everyone's microphone,
Yeah.
unless it's Erin.
I think I'm going to leave most people open for the moment, and unless it becomes an issue. So that way I don't have to be opening and closing, although you can each open up your own microphones. I did give you that ability, so that's probably not a bad idea.
Great, thanks, Mike.
So the public hearing has been canceled. Next on the agenda is our supervisor's report. The March 2020 was filed with the town clerk. You each should have received in your email box today, a copy of the report. The March 2020 receipts were received from the town clerk's office in the amount of $41,988.74. And in March 2020, we received a CHIPS funding payment of $88,093.46. That is for reimbursement for our installment payment for the highway truck. This is for our third installment of 5. Announcing the payments of the bills that were paid at the March what would have been the workshop meeting, the auditing of the bills. Abstract 15 of 2019, the general fund paid $512.68. The highway fund, $2,300. Abstract 3 of 2020, general fund payments, $59,628.97. Highway fund, $39,387.64. Street lighting fund, $401.23. We'll turn this over to Kate now to give her tax collector report for the month of March.
Okay, for the month of March, we collected $473,052.76. Of that, base taxes were $469,997.28. $3,055.48 were penalties, and that leaves us a balance of $1,463,572.52 left to be collected. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Kate. And I believe that was emailed to everybody today as well. Correspondence received. We received a letter from Senator Seward's office acknowledging receipt of our letter to him in opposition to the merger of the New York State Thruway Authority and Bridge Authority. I was very happy to see, I believe it was in yesterday's Daily Freeman, that that is now off the table. So I would thank all our local state legislative and Senate representatives for voicing our opinion, as well as many other municipalities on that. From Mike Dunham, and I don't know if he shared this with all of you by email, so this is his monthly assessor's report. He sent out notices the beginning of March. He's been responding to property questions by phone or email. There have been very little complaints about the changes. A handful of property owners have questions the timing because of the coronavirus. He's explained to property owners that any of the 2020 assessment is based on the market value as of July 1, 2019. And if there's an indication of changes to the real estate market, it would be reflected in the 2021 assessment. Any board members have any questions on those? If not, I'll move on.
I
From
don't have any questions, but
Yep.
I do have a comment. I'm
Okay.
not sure I understand people know that the offices are closed, and therefore I'm wondering if all the calls are coming in, or if after this is over, if there's a date when people can come in. I know the grievance day.
Yeah, we will have to, see as it goes. Right now, he has fielded some calls and I know spoken with residents over the phone. And the preliminary assessments are due to be filed as of May 1st, and then the grievance day, how that is handled remains to be seen because we don't know what we will be doing in May. So once we have better information, I'm sure that will be a statewide directive, not just our town. So
Okay.
he's keeping me up to date on what he's hearing from New York State and from the county real property.
Because I have fielded some calls here, and I've sent them to Mike now. Whether he received those calls, I have no idea.
Well, they can always email him too. It's mdunham, DUNHAM, at townofrochester.ny.gov. And we will get that out on the website too, B.
Thank you.
ZBA and planning report for the month. The collected $182.07. And that is the in miscellaneous revenues. I'm sure that's reimbursements for public hearings and things like that. From the building department, we have received for the month permit fees, $8,741.65. Certificate of occupancy and inspection fees, $1,932.20. And let's see, what else do I have to report? Moving forward with the courthouse annex, I want to thank Councilman Hagan Pugh and Justice Shaheen. They and Chief Miller, they compiled the list, the punch list. We have secured a contractor who has quoted us a price of $30 an hour, not to exceed maximum of 100 hours. With the town purchasing the remaining materials that need to be purchased, that is well within the remaining money. There is slightly over $3,100 remaining in that grant fund from the previous grant. I'm confident, and the contractor is confident, that we will be able to complete the work in that amount of time. I spoke with him on Monday or Tuesday. I apologize, I don't remember which day. He was going to get in there this week, get me an estimate, or get me a list, excuse me, of materials that he needed. And he was confident that the work would be completed by the end of April. So that would close out that grant. I also spoke with him about beginning work on the 2019-2020 grant, which we received from the court. That was to do work back in the original courthouse of redoing the bench. Remember, we were able to secure a bench for free from Ulster County, and we are currently storing that. So once the annex is done, he will probably move into that building and start that work. We did not get approved for funding for redoing the carpeting. So we will either have to make do with the carpeting that's in there or find funding for that. And oh, very important news. The Rochester Food Pantry is in the community center as of this past weekend. I really want to thank them for their patience. They are up and operating. We've had a lot of help. Bob Warner of Bob Warner Electric, I believe is the name, donated his own time and materials to correct a problem with an outlet that was 110 that needed to be converted to 220 for their freezer. And it was an error in, well, they originally planned on a 110 outlet, and their freezer that they have needed to be 220. He donated his time and materials to do that. Jeff Fry, thank you. Jeff was very helpful in getting some freezers over from the firehouse to the food pantry, and they are up and operating. Ashley and her team continue to do meals through the Rondout Valley Food Pantry, and they are also, I believe, helping out with the e-backpack program, which is, I think it's called the e-backpack, which is the school lunch program. And Highway Superintendent Fry and myself and Town Clerk Gunberg and Ashley is also going to begin assisting us, have been delivering meals through the Project Resiliency on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We are now up to about 125 to 130 meals each delivery. And it's going very well. So that's all I have for my supervisor's report. Mary Lou, attorney.
Mike, I had a quick question.
Yes.
You just, for the annex, what was the time frame on that again?
The time frame, I'm sorry. Oh, on the annex, by the end of April.
Oh, perfect. Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
he anticipated that he would be able to get in there starting this week or this weekend, and he would be done by the end of April.
Mike, a quick question.
Yes.
Regarding the annex, we can continue to work in there then?
Yes, we are allowed to work. Construction businesses are not allowed to work unless it's essential services, with the exception of sole proprietors. And the reason is pretty simple, is that they're working by themselves. They're not exposing anybody else. So the governor's directive, and I should address this. I know the Marbletown supervisor put out a Facebook post about construction being stopped. That was his interpretation, in my opinion, of the governor's directive of construction businesses, which came out in the executive order as a clarification last Friday, as a clarification of business shutdowns. But it's very clear in there that sole proprietor, single person operations are allowed to continue. Homeowners are allowed to continue doing projects themselves. And and Mary Lou can probably address this. We have confirmed there's no stop on issuing building permits or anything like that. It's just construction businesses are no longer exempt unless they're an essential service, building something like roads, bridges, hospitals, nursing homes, things like that. And actually, if there's no other questions, that's a good segue into Mary Lou's report.
Okay, thanks, Mike. So over the past 2 or 3 weeks, I've been working on learning what you do when you're a local government attorney and there's a pandemic. And I have to say, I've been very lucky that we have a great group of people, both in the Hudson Valley local attorneys and a really good group in the New York State Bar Association. There's a section I've belonged to for a million years, and I'm getting all my money's worth in the last 2 weeks. We have a lot of meetings on figuring out together best practices and going over all of the governor's executive orders, which change quite frequently as he learns more about what needs to be done. So we are working really hard, and I think we're doing a good job. So far as the building, I have worked with the building department. The things that you're allowed to work on are essential services, as Mike was saying, which are things like building roads and bridges and hospitals. Also, if there's emergency construction that needs to be done, and it's not, if it's an emergency that the homeowner thinks is an emergency, if the state thinks it's an emergency. So if we have a building where a wall's about to fall, or we're working on something and there's a little bit of work that still needs to be shored up for safety. So kind of safety and imminent peril would be the guideline. Then you can have more than one person in. They have to practice social distancing while they're doing the work. And if they don't, the fine is $10,000 per violation. So it's very, very serious. So if you see that happening, let us know. I have a couple things I'd like to talk to the board about, some legal advice things that would be more appropriate in an attorney-client, attorney-town board meeting. So hopefully Mike and I can arrange that for sometime within the next week. And you guys might have attorney questions too that are coming up as a result of all of this. So Mike, can you?
Absolutely. So
Do that?
after tonight's meeting or tomorrow morning, I'll get some times from Mary Lou when she will be available, because I know her schedule is probably as busy as the mine and Kate's and many of you too right now. So we'll find out when she's available, and I'll propose some possible times. A quick question for board members is daytime a possibility for any of you, or do you all need it to be evening? You're all muted. Let me unmute all to answer.
I'm good during the day.
Okay,
I am too, but I just have to plan ahead.
understood.
Exactly.
Adam
Not
and
a lot.
Aaron, daytime would work for you. You can even just nod. Okay,
Yeah, Mike, I'd be on a case by case basis. I'm on
Understood.
websites like this, like all day long. But if I knew when it was, maybe I could schedule around it or just
Okay.
tell you yes or no.
well, we'll throw out a range of possibilities and try to find something. I'll do some day, some evening. I just trying to keep everybody's needs happy right now, and I know we all have our families to deal with and take care of at this time too. So
Mhm. Mary Lou, I
okay,
just wanted to show you something that can prevent the violations of social distancing.
That's just on building construction. The $10,000. Yep. I will tell Jerry to let everybody know if they have to social distance to
There we
bring their
go.
jousting materials.
Great
I like
stuff, Chris.
I love it.
Okay.
Also, one more thing, Mike.
Yes.
Kate, I'd like to talk to Kate in the next couple of days to talk a little bit about dealing with FOIL requests when we are on a half staff.
You got it.
But we can talk about that outside. Thanks.
Sure.
All right, I'm done.
Okay, moving on, our constabulary report. Rich Miller has sent it to us all, but for the public. So in addition, for the month of March, in addition to the court security, they answered 13 calls, direct calls for service. There were 12 neighbor to neighbor and quality of life complaints, 1 traffic complaint on Granite Road, 3 environmental complaints, 7 building department violations. And due to the court closure, there were no new court cases opened and no court proceedings closed. As you all know, the court has been closed for the most of the month of March. And there are 17 court proceedings which remain open. Under his interesting occurrences section, the beginning of the month, they received additional complaints from residents about garbage being dumped on their properties and at various places around the town, including some new locations. A resident called after arriving home to find an abandoned car placed in their driveway. I imagine that was quite a surprise. They've had limited direct contact with complainants due to the COVID outbreak. Many calls have been received checking on the welfare of elderly town residents with excuse me, with no local family. Many of those calls are originating from family members in different parts of the country, different states. And he's pleased to report that all checks have had positive outcomes and the individual's been found safe and in good health. They've also received a significant rise in complaints from multiple residents regarding trespassers on their properties. I know of a one case with somebody who borders Mohawk that people are creating their own ways to get into the Mohawk trails by avoiding the Mohawk entrance, which is closed, and creating their own back ways into the trails. So if anybody is doing that, please do not trespass on other properties. Mohawk has closed their trails and we should honor that and not try to find ways around it. His report for the building and zoning violation detail, he said they were able to provide coverage on a semi-regular basis. There were 2 additional properties identified that need to be visited, and those were turned over to Mr. Davis. And it says that he's also taken additional complaints and information alerting us to specific properties and possible violations. So thank you, Chief Miller. Next, I plan to move into resolutions. Gonna have to figure out how to do this and keep everybody on screen. Let me go to,
Do we get to hear a report from Jeff
oh,
regarding highway?
I'm sorry. Yes, my bad. I skipped right over that. Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, first off, my guys have been doing an excellent job of keeping things sanitized the way we're supposed to. I've never seen the shop or the trucks as clean as I've seen them in the last couple of weeks. So they've been doing a fantastic job doing that. There isn't one thing in the shop or trucks that hasn't been sanitized lately. We're teetering on the best we can, you know, with what we have to do. We've got the sweeper today. We have that rented for a month. So I've had a guy out today doing that. We helped move the rest of the stuff for the food pantry this afternoon, which went very smoothly. And next week we got a big culvert job that we have to do that I had to put off from this week to do next week. But I'll only have 2 guys that'll be able to do that, but I'll be able to help them. So they'll have 2.5 guys, and hopefully we won't have any issues there. And other than that, we've been doing the best we can with the situation we're in. So, but the guys have been doing a fantastic job, and you know, I'm proud of every single one of them. So that's all I got.
Great. Thank you very much, Jeff. And
You're welcome.
Kate, did you get any public comments emailed to you?
I did not receive any public comments, but I did. I do want to thank Jeff. He had the highway guys come over and they drilled a hole in my door and we put in a drop box. So I want to thank him and his staff for doing that for me.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, in general, I really, Jeff's staff has been an asset to us and helped us out with many things as we've reduced staff during this time down to the 50% mandate. They have been a huge asset in many assisting us in many things, and they're definitely appreciated because it is way above and beyond highway duties. So.
Thank you. I'll pass that along to them. They'll appreciate that, and that's what we're here for. We help each other out, and that's how we're all going to get through this.
For the board's knowledge too, we went this week to a 2 days on, 2 days off for our highway staff. So we're alternating. So we have half on 2 days and then half on the next 2 days. And we're going to continue that throughout the rest of the offices, where we are having them with a single person in each office, rotating as best we can. The only exception to that is the transfer station, which is still deemed an essential service. However, we've cut down 1 person each day at that site, and we're doing our best that we can do there to continue. We did stop the free pile. It is only for the short term. I don't want people to be concerned it's gone for good. We just cannot have people that close to each other. We can't have products out there that people are dropping off without being sanitized. Also, we have been able to continue the bottle drop for the Girl Scouts, and I believe it's working out well. I have not been over there since we instituted it. The trailer is closed off and there are containers put outside that people can drop their stuff in. And I do know the Girl Scout leaders are still coming in and sorting and doing that themselves. But I didn't want to see that that project stop. So we continue that. So we will move on to resolutions, and I'm going to share my screen with each resolution. It's going to take me a moment to get there. I apologize. So our first resolution is actually a very important one. And Mary Lou can probably explain it more if the board has any questions, but I will read it. This is a COVID-19 employee work reduction schedule and compensation. This is the recommended resolution, and it was written by Michael Richardson, or a consultant that Michael Richardson works with, that he shared with us, and Mary Lou and I tweaked it slightly to fit our town. So resolved, to the extent allowable by law, the town board, acting pursuant to the authority granted by New York General Municipal Law, Section 92, and Governor's Executive Order 202.4, grants to any town employee determined by the town to be a non-essential employee, excuse me, idled by the COVID-19 emergency, paid leave, excuse me, without charging accruals or the ability to work from home for all and any days the employee is directed by the town not to report to their work location. This resolution does not restrict the town from requiring any non-essential personnel to work regular and/or modified work schedules, from requiring any employees to work from home, and/or from requiring any employee to work via an online, electronic, or other such platform. All non-essential employees shall remain ready and available to be called into work during their regular work hours each week. If an employee is unable or unwilling to report to work that time they are unable or unwilling to work, will be charged to their sick, vacation, or personal time. To the extent allowable by law, for all essential workers who are reporting to their work location on a full-time basis and/or are working alternative schedules, they will continue to be paid their normal hourly or salary rates. The town supervisor shall maintain a weekly record of all and any days the employee is directed by the town not to report to their work location. The paid leave granted by the action of the town board or the continued payment of employees' normal hourly or salary rates as granted by the action of the town board shall sunset on the date of the discontinuation of Executive Order 202.4 or as further modified or determined by the town board. So for discussion purposes, do I have a motion?
This is Councilwoman Anawen, and I'll make the motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Councilwoman Haugen will second.
Okay, discussion. Any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'd call a vote. Kate, it's recommended that we do a roll call vote, and I apologize for sort of springing this on you.
That's okay. Okay, Councilwoman Anawen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Where is? Uh-oh.
did we
We
lose him?
lost.
We lost him.
Okay, Supervisor Baden,
Aye, so you can just record that he's out of the meeting, and
Yeah.
when he gets back on,
yep,
so, okay. Next resolution, let me put it back up on the screen. This is appointment of a town employee, and Jeff will be able to explain this better once we do the resolution. So upon recommendation of the highway superintendent for a change in title of a highway department employee, the town board appoints Jared Gunberg to the position of working supervisor effective April 5, 2020, to be compensated at the hourly wage rate in accordance with the terms and conditions of the collective bargaining agreement negotiated between the town of Rochester and the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 363, for the period January 1, 2020 through December 31, 2022. Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion, Councilman Haugen Depew.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion, Councilwoman Anawen.
Okay. Adam has just logged on by iPhone. Let me get him in there. Adam, are you on?
Yeah, Mike, I'm back on.
Okay, got you. Did you hear that motion?
I didn't. We unfortunately, we have like 3 different webinars going on in the house right now.
No problem. No problem. So the last vote, we marked you as absent, and I'm going to ask you not to vote on this one just because you didn't hear the motion unless, if you have the agenda in front of you, it's agenda item B.
Okay. You take a look.
It's the
I gotta-
appointment of the town employee. I can read it again real quick for you.
If you don't mind. Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
Sorry.
That's okay. Upon recommendation of the highway superintendent for a change in title of a highway department employee, the town board appoints Jared Gunberg to the position of working supervisor effective April 5, 2020, to be compensated at the hourly wage rate in accordance with the terms and conditions of the collective bargaining agreement negotiated between the town of Rochester and the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 363, for the period January 1, 2020 through December 31, 2022. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or questions for Jeff?
Question for Jeff. Jeff, is this a single stipend or a single increase, or is it part of a payroll increase?
It's a payroll increase.
Okay.
For the board members, this is the position that was formerly held by Jeff Fry. When he became highway superintendent, we left it vacant for the beginning of the year. Jeff has determined that Jared Gunberg has stayed in the HMEO position. And Jeff has determined at this time that he would like to fill that position with Jared, it will not create a vacancy in HMEO. We've just been carrying an additional HMEO. I believe, Jeff, I don't have the exact rate. It's $1 something or just slightly under $2 an hour difference. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe it's like $1.30 or $1.31
Okay.
difference.
Okay, so
Yep.
it's less than I thought it was.
Yep.
So essentially, it equates to approximately $50 additional a week for the employee. And again, it is budgeted for, though. We did budget for the full year for that position, not knowing back when we made the budget if we would be filling it or not. So. I just lost the meeting.
I still got you, Mike.
There we are.
I
don't know-
Got him.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. My screen just changed. An email came in and I think that's what happened. It changed my screen. Apologies. So any other discussion? Kate, you want to do a roll call vote, please?
Councilwoman Allen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay, moving forward, our next motion. This is authorizing the supervisor to extend the contract with Cohasset Accord First Aid Squad. Recommended resolution, the town board authorizes the town supervisor to sign an extension of the shared services contract dated May 3rd, 2018 between the Cohasset Accord First Aid Squad and the town of Rochester as presented, effective through December 31, 2020. Do I have a motion?
This is Councilwoman Allen. I'll make the motion.
Okay, do I have a second, please?
Councilman Paddock has a second.
Okay, discussion or questions? I forwarded you a copy of the original agreement, done in 2018. The attorney for the town and I worked on this with the Cohasset First Aid Squad. Primarily allows us, or they allow us and cover us under insurance for plowing and salting their parking area. We also merged the $22,000 a year that we give to them for their service to the community into this contract. And it's being renewed on a year-to-year basis. And they have, as I also sent to you all today, and I think I did provide it when we got it last fall. They provide us their year-end accounting. So we can see what their financials are for each year. So with that being said, if there's no other discussion, Kate, we do roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay, moving to the next resolution. This is authorizing the supervisor to extend an intermunicipal agreement with the Accord Fire District. The recommended resolution, the town board authorizes the town supervisor to sign an extension of the intermunicipal agreement dated February 13, 2019 between the Accord Fire District and the town of Rochester as was presented, effective through June 1, 2021.
I'll make the motion. Chris Hewitt.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second Councilwoman Anowen.
Okay. Any discussion or questions? Jeff, if you're still on, I just ask you to chime in that with both of these, the fire district and the rescue squad, it's working out fine and it's no additional problems for you or your staff?
No issues at all. Actually, I had spoken to the commissioners at the firehouse for the fire company, and I thought maybe in the future, instead of the $75 an hour, I get more of a benefit out of, which I utilize today. Would they give us access to their water so I can fill up our sweeper in about 30 seconds versus 15 or 20 minutes at our shop? And they also send a tanker over to wash out our trucks at the end of the winter, which actually I get more out of that. So I wanted to kind of see if we could maybe change the contract up a little bit.
I'll tell you what then, let's withdraw this resolution because our current contract doesn't expire till the end of May. I just put it in because I was doing the Kerhonkson and I figured I would just do them both together. But let's withdraw this resolution and I'll get with you, Jeff, and Mary Lou, and we can amend the contract and then put the new one in place as of June 1, 2020.
Okay, that sounds good.
Who made that motion? Was that Chris? You
Councilman
willing to
Hewitt.
withdraw the motion, and Aaron or Adam, whoever did the second, withdraw?
Yes, I will withdraw
Okay.
my motion.
Okay,
I'll second. I'll withdraw the second.
okay, so we will just table that motion and we will revisit the contract, and thank you very much.
Yep, perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, moving on to the next resolution. Setting a public hearing date for local law 2 of 2020, establishing best value procurement. The town board sets a public hearing date for local law 2 of 2020, establishing best value procurement to be held at 6:30 PM on May 7th, 2020 via video and teleconference, and request the town clerk post and advertise legal notice of such public hearing. The regular town board meeting will immediately follow.
Mike,
One moment. Yes,
before anybody makes this motion, I just want to point out that the executive order is only good till the middle of April right now. So
Okay.
I don't know on May 7th whether we'll be sitting in town hall or whether we'll be sitting in our homes. So I
Okay.
would recommend that it be changed such
Re-
that,
reword it.
yeah, reword it so that it is held at town hall unless the governor extends his order to that date or past that date, in which case it will be held by however we have it here, virtual
Okay,
meeting.
video and teleconference.
Yes, that's it.
Okay. Kate, were you able to get
Yeah, I
that?
got
changed?
it.
Great.
Yes.
So I'd
Thank
ask
you.
for that motion for discussion.
I'll make the motion. Councilwoman Hagen Depew.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it. Aaron
Okay.
Anowen.
Discussion.
Councilwoman Haugen Depew. I had originally written to all of us, just as an idea, because we are teleconferencing, and I know that it's probably a small amount of people in the town that do not have virtual and computer access, et cetera. Do we want any input from the public on this? And if so, should we wait even beyond the March 7th date for the
Well,
public hearing, or,
yeah, my feeling is in order for us to move forward with things like the building conditions survey that we have discussed, and this is essential to be able to put those out. I think we need to hold it. Given the time frame, we can certainly, it's a month away. We can come up with other solutions. We can accept written comments. There are a lot of other ways. And I hope, and I know it is not in place for tonight's meeting, but I'm hoping that in future meetings, we will have a dial-in number where residents can dial in with their phones from a landline at home and not have to view us electronically and be able to listen only. Aaron and I this week are tried to figure that all out, and it is not as simple as we'd all like it to be, unfortunately, in trying to merge two different types of meetings. So I am hopeful and confident that we will have this solved. Our planning board and our zoning board of appeals in April have to have public hearings, well, as long as they continue with the applications that they have in front of them. So I think by May, and if we don't have it solved, we can always postpone it again.
true.
I would rather schedule it and hope that we can get it resolved than not schedule it and then have to wait another month. That's just my opinion. So
Point taken, point taken.
if anybody else has any other ideas on it.
I would just like to comment that I think we should be able to have people participate through just a regular telephone. And then also, I think just to echo what Supervisor Baden said, we can start encouraging people now to submit written comments that we can read in. That's also a very accessible way for people to participate in the public comment.
Right.
Very good.
And I do understand that this is a topic that probably will, it's highly unlikely it will get a lot of comment, if any, but I don't want to just make that assumption. And I don't want to change the process by how we do business, and nor can we, but I just I want people to be able to comment. And your point is very valid, B. We will make sure,
Thank
or
you.
if we don't have it solved, we'll cancel it again. But I think by then we can have it resolved. So,
Okay.
so with that, I'll call for a vote. Kate, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Thank you, everybody. Moving on to the next resolution. This is the procurement policy that we did discuss last month, and I did make some changes in the numbers based on our conversation. I do have it and can put it up on the screen after we do the resolution. So this is the pursuant to General Municipal Law 104B, the town board adopts the procurement policy as presented April 2nd, 2020, subject to future revision by the town board. And I'd ask for a resolution on that.
I'll make the
I
motion.
mean, a motion, excuse me.
I'll
Councilman
second.
Hewitt. Yep.
Okay,
Councilman Paddock.
let me get the policy up on screen here. For the board members' sake, this is the basically the same as I presented last month to everybody. The exception that exists, the changes in the dollar amount are changes that the state follows. The 20,000 purchase of supplies or equipment, the 35,000 for public works contracts. What I did change is this part, for non-bid procurements. I changed the numbers slightly. So it will be from 7,500 to 20,000 would need a written request for proposal and three written quotes from vendors. Previously, the low number was 10,000. I changed it to 7,500. The next line, the 1B, used to be 5 to 10,000. I changed it from 73 to 7,500 based on the discussion we had. And then C was 250 to 5,000. I changed that from 250 to 3,000. The section 2 is on public works contracts. I believe, and I don't have the old one in front of me, I believe I had for B, I think I had 15 to 25,000 previously, and I changed that to 10 to 20. And A is now, instead of 25 to 35, is now 20 to 35. And then C is 500 to 10,000. If the board wants to wait on this another month, I am okay with that, because until we adopt the local law for the procurement policy, I mean, the best value, it doesn't really change anything except for the non-competitive ones would change. We can't institute the best value until it's actually adopted as a local law for a larger bid, but it could help us in the smaller purchases.
I recommend we move forward since we've been discussing it for a while, and I think we're all good with the numbers.
Okay, so I'll ask for a motion then. So Chris, I'll take that as a motion from you.
I think I did an motion already,
Yeah.
or someone did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Did we
you
already
have,
do a motion in a second?
yeah,
we have
Chris,
Chris
and
and
Adam.
Adam.
Okay, I apologize. So any other discussion then? Okay, hearing none, I'll ask Kate for a roll call vote.
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock, Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay, moving
Michael,
forward.
can you pull
to
this
the-
light around? I'm still here. I didn't go anywhere.
Away from you?
Over this way, toward around behind me.
Came for you.
We need some nice front lighting, Michael.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I
was good at cutting out the picture, not the sound so much.
apologize. I lost my agenda. There
Uh-oh.
we go. No, I just my slides of my agenda, not my agenda itself.
That's okay. I was losing light here in a hurry.
Okay, this agenda item G, or resolution G,
That didn't help me.
a temporary directive regarding town spending by departments. This is the recommended resolution, whereas the town of Rochester expects to be impacted in a loss for fiscal year 2020 of significant projected budget revenue for such line items as sales tax, mortgage tax, permit fees, fines and forfeited bail, and other revenue due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas the town budget officer projects such revenue losses to be possibly 25 to 30% of the 2020 budgeted revenue. Therefore, the town board, effective immediately, instructs all department heads that any single expenditure from the general fund exceeding $250 for any general expenditure and $1,000 for any highway fund expenditure shall require request to and pre-approval of the budget officer before such expenditure is made. And therefore, such directive shall remain in force until such time as the budget officer advises the town board of the lack of necessity for such directive. Do I have a motion for discussion?
I'll make the motion, Councilwoman Hogan.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. The reason I'm doing this in discussing with other supervisors on our conference calls that I've been having, and in talking and hearing March Gallagher, the county comptroller, put out a report of the financial impact of this. It is estimated that we could 15 to 25% of our sales tax may not materialize this year. I'm estimating we will probably see similar issues with mortgage tax, although our first 6 months shall be pretty good because it's based on last sales from the previous quarter, I believe. So, but I'm concerned, and I'm not saying we can't spend money, but I'm saying we just have to be a little more careful about what we spend it on. So I think just having a request, even if it's budgeted for, is not a bad idea at the moment. I'm not looking at instituting any sort of spending freezes or anything like that. I'm monitoring our budget pretty carefully and watching it, but and some of our revenues, many of our revenues will still come in. But the good news is it looks like CHIPS funding is not going to be diminished in any way. At least as of the last report I got as of last night out of Albany, where they're negotiating the budget probably as we speak. It looks like the extreme winter funding is going to remain. And it also looks like the carryover of CHIPS that wasn't used last year. And that's big to us because we have well over 200,000 carried over because we had planned on purchasing the new highway truck last year, and it didn't come in till this year. So we will be applying for that in our very first CHIPS payment of the 2020 year. And that should use up the amount of carryover. So all that being said, this is why I'm asking for this. And I think just for the short term, we just need to do that. So
I think it makes a lot of sense, but I think it might need a end date.
well, I wanted to sort of monitor it. I mean, I'm willing to put that we will reevaluate at, how about we say June 30th? Or actually, we'll reevaluate before the July town board meeting.
That sounds
is that-
nice.
That makes sense.
Okay, so who made those motions? Are you willing to amend to add that? So the
I'll
last,
amend.
yeah, the
I'll
last
amend.
sentence would say, shall remain in force until July, whatever that date is. And Kate can pull that date out for our July board meeting.
I believe it's the 6th.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
because,
because my main question is, because I see the value in this too, Mike. And I think it's good. You know, what's kind of going through my mind is, well, what types of things would be approved versus not approved? And if we really are losing this much out of our budget, by July, we're going to have to start making some decision, like modifications.
agreed.
It's July 2nd, Kate.
Oh, July 2nd.
Okay. So I think we'll do that then. So we'll say to be reevaluated at the July 2nd board meeting. We can either extend it, end it, whatever we need to do. And we could always, if by chance, you know, it changes sooner, we could always end it sooner. But this way, it's not a bad idea, Chris, picking a date. I just, not knowing how long this is going to go on, and some of the financial implications won't just go away just because if the virus, you know, gets better and things get lifted, it's not just, some of the implications will last throughout the year and probably into next year.
Well, and also like you're saying, Mike, we might not see the impact until later.
Correct. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, Kate, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen DePew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay, moving on to the next resolution. And I apologize for the lateness of getting this because the end of the month was not until Tuesday. I just finished these up this morning, so I will put them up on the screen though, so you can see them and the public can see them. So the recommended resolution is the town board author. Let's split this into two separate resolutions if you don't mind. So we'll do it one at a time. It's easier that way. So authorize modification of the 2020 general fund budget as presented by the supervisor. And if you will allow me to put up that one. There it is. Are you seeing it on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So the green column is, the red column is the changes we made in February. The green column are the changes that I'm proposing now based on spending in the budget. You'll remember the miscellaneous categories of each budget line, we made the choice last fall to not fund them with anything and to make adjustments as need be. So that's why many of these are showing miscellaneous categories of $100 or $200. I tried wherever possible to say, like in municipal court, we had to add $300 to the miscellaneous. I took 300 out of the prosecutor's line, knowing that this month the prosecutors are not working. So we are saving money there. So I tried to take it out of within its own department. So there were no big changes. I will tell you, oops, sorry, I went too fast. Under professional services for buildings, you will see a $10,000 increase. That is currently for the courthouse roof. In order to pay that, I am still trying to get answers from the state. We have roughly 17,000 plus in a capital improvements fund, but all those were put in with specific earmarks. What I've tried to find out from the comptroller's office is how we can change an earmark from one item to another item, because many of the earmarks that were placed were not, are no longer needed, but they were put in very long time ago. And unfortunately, with all that's going on, I haven't been able to speak to somebody to get an answer. So for the short term, I'm increasing the professional services line by 10,000, pulling it out of contingency to pay for that roof. I know the roof was 8+. I put a little bit extra in there just for the moment. If we resolve that, then we can move 10,000 from the capital expenditures budget line into this, then that will fill it back up again. The insurance line looks big. It's a $12,000 reduction. That's because I chose to spread our insurance out. Like the vehicle insurance isn't just under the general insurance line. It's under central garage. And the recreation department insurance policy that we carry is under the recreation department. That was a change from how we budgeted previously. So that's why those changes exist. Anyway, all totaled, you will see that the budget has zeroed itself out in the reconciliation. The numbers have changed around, but they equal zero. So there's no change to the financial impact. It's just moving money from one place to another. So with that said, I'd ask for a motion for the general fund budget modification.
I'll make the motion.
Go ahead.
And do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, any questions or discussion? Kate, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Nowen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen DePew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye.
Hey, Mike, are we doing roll call because it's a video conference?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm just because somebody may not know somebody's voice, I'm just doing it that way. It is recommended by the state that you do it that way on a video conference.
great. Thank you.
Yeah, if we had I will tell you at the county planning board meeting last night where we had 25 people, the way they did it is they just asked, is there anybody opposed? And they assumed that everybody who, if anybody was opposed or anybody who wasn't opposed would be for it. But with only 5 people, I think it's not, we don't have that many resolutions, so. So next, moving forward, I'd ask we make the same motion for the highway fund.
I'll
I'll
make the
walk you
motion.
through some of these changes. Some
I'll
of
make the
them
motion.
are in personnel line items. Some of this is coming about because we didn't have a foreman for the beginning, first quarter of the year, but we were budgeted as if we would have a foreman the whole time. So we had additional monies coming out of the HMEO line and less coming out of the foreman line. And also, Jeff is probably deploying some of his guys slightly different than past. We have some more HMEO guys working on machinery than we have had in the past.
Mike,
Some of that is.
I don't think we have a second yet for discussion.
Oh, okay. Do I have a second on the motion? Actually, did I even get a motion? I may not have.
Yeah, I made the
Chris
motion.
Hewitt.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. The machinery line item, some of that is a reaction to what's happening just in general right now, is we're spending more in the machinery line. I pulled 10,000 out of snow removal because we had such a mild winter that unless we really get socked in November, December next year, we should be more than okay. And the other changes, the red changes we made last month or back in February. You will see the reconciliation that this is off by $210,000. That is the cost of the truck with plow and sander from February, but we increased the revenue side by accordingly 210,000. So with that, I'll ask if there's any questions. Okay, Adam, I see your box is lighting up. I don't know if you have a question or, okay.
Nope. No.
With that, Kate, roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay, moving forward, action on our minutes. Kate has emailed them to you. Recommended resolution accepting the minutes of these meetings as amended. February 6th, regular meeting, February 6th, public hearing for local law 1. February 27th, audit budget workshop meeting, March 5th, regular meeting. We did not have the March workshop audit meeting. Do I have that motion?
I'll make the motion. Councilwoman
Okay.
Anowen.
Do I have a second? I'll second it, just to speed it up. Okay, I'll second.
Okay.
I did email everybody. I've emailed Kate a couple amendments about the seeker for the local law, which she amended, which I think was in the March meeting. And there was one change in the February meeting on a vote that where I had abstained on a vote that I was listed as voting. And so other than that, those are the only changes that happened. And I think she did email them, those changes to everybody. So if there's no other additions or corrections, Kate, roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen Depew,
Sorry. Aye. I was
Council-
muted.
Councilman Hewitt,
Sorry.
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Thank you. Moving forward, acceptance of a donation. Town board authorizes the town supervisor to accept donations of $478 from Alan and Arlene Levine for the purchase of corned beef for the St. Patrick's Day Community Luncheon and $350 from Stewart Shop's Holiday Match Program. Do I have that motion?
I'll make the motion. Councilwoman
second.
Hogan Depew.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion. I want to let everybody know the corned beef is safe and in the freezer. And when this is all over, we're going to have a St. Patrick's Day luncheon. I don't care what time of year it is. We're all going to wear green and we're going to have it.
I'll be there.
And I can't thank Alan and Arlene Levine enough. They step up every event we do with a very nice donation. They always tell us, give us the bill for the corned beef. And they, even when it wasn't happening, they said, we still want to pay for it. So, and the Stewart Shops, this is, Ashley came to us last year about applying for this. What Stewart's does is, you may see they have those little jars out by the register, and people make donations in there, and then I believe they match it in some way. And anyway, so they, we just got the check this past week. They awarded us $350 to help towards supplies for our recreation program. So roll call vote, please, Kate.
Yep. Councilman Anawen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay, moving into our discussion phase of the meeting. First, I just want to, obviously, it's all on our minds and the COVID-19. I wanted to see if any board members had any questions, any concerns, any thoughts. As you all know, and I've kept you guys up to speed, I am on the county conference call. Most days, I have missed a couple. It's at 1 o'clock every day. Some days is more just a reporting of the numbers, which are up on the county's website. Other days, like today, are much more interesting, and I will tell you about that in a moment. But first, let me see if any of you have any questions. Okay, so
I'd also love to do some updates after you.
Okay, and Chris, I really want to, I know your organization has been doing a lot and been in the forefront of all this, so I definitely appreciate that.
I'll give an update on the nonprofit front.
Great. So we are participating in the Project Resiliency, as I said. We have now delivered meals 6 days. Yeah, 6 days. We have delivered in those 6 days 510 meals. There is no requirement of who can get these other than you need to just sign up. And in order to sign up, all we need is a name, address, and phone number. It's not an income level. It's not an age level. It's people who can't get out, who need meals. They get delivered a hot meal somewhere between noon and 3. It's not hot. It's microwavable or reheatable in the oven. They come prepackaged. I will tell you the restaurants, and I want to name them by name, who've really stepped up. Linda Bradford at the Stonehouse Tavern has supplied meals 3 of those 6 days. And the way it works is the county sends me a list the night before of where I'm picking it up and how many meals I'm picking up, and a list of who we're delivering to. We got them from Lydia's Cafe one day. Sadly, I'm told that Lydia's has been unable to stay open and have closed their doors. Benny's in Stone Ridge provided them one day. Yesterday, we got them from through the Elm Rock Inn, through the catering company that the people who own Elm Rock are also caterers. And tomorrow, we are picking them up at Bodacious Bagels in Stone Ridge. And the other place, and I probably don't have the name right, it's the corner of Sampsonville Road. It's not Bucky's, but it's the new school bus that's there. Apparently, they were using that as a food truck. going to businesses, but since the businesses are not in operation, Kate, do you know the name of it? It's crazy.
The lunchbox.
Okay, I got a different name. It's crazy something or other, but I don't.
Frankie's.
Frankie. Yeah, B.
Frankie's.
Frankie. That's it. Thank you. I want to get the thanks out. So that's who's supplying our meals tomorrow, and we're doing 125 meals tomorrow. So as I said, thank you to everybody who's helping us with that. We continue to operate the town hall and the transfer station. Kate, can you just give a quick update on how you're dealing with people's needs for service?
Yeah. We have made a Dropbox, which has worked pretty well. Anybody that's coming for any kind of DEC, they put their driver's license through the Dropbox. We print the hunting or fishing license, and then they put the money through the Dropbox, and then we put it through in an envelope and give it back to them. So that's worked out pretty good. Everything else we've done either by phone call or email or through mail. All our handicap permits and dog licenses we're doing strictly through mail. And we're encouraging people to purchase their permits and tickets at the transfer station to lessen the interaction of people. If people can't do that, we will take an order over the phone and meet them at the door, and again, pass it through the Dropbox. So we have not had any issues, no complaints. Everyone's paying taxes through the mail. It's working out pretty good.
Great. I know, as we said earlier, through the assessor's office, Mike is taking people by phone and email. Jill continues to deal with things with the dogs. She does have an issue though. People still like to come visit the dogs and congregate there. We've tried our best to kind of remind people to maintain social distancing there as best we can, but we are trying our best. Another quick update that I should have given earlier, Jill's office is now complete. So Jill's office is now her office plus my former office. The wall was taken down. She now has a duplex. And her partner Dave came in and over the weekend and painted it, and it looks amazing. So we are doing well here. A little bit of sort of bad news and frustrating news, and it just came today, so I don't have any answers really of what it all means. Through a lot of pushing from the supervisors, Supervisor Hauk, myself, Supervisor Stanley from Shandaken, we were really pushing the county executive's office to ask the governor to put a stop to Airbnb, short-term rentals, not just Airbnb, but short-term rentals. And we were all asking about the camps, and we were told by the county health department that no permits were going to be issued for camps. And I actually asked for further clarification on that because we have like the Rondout Valley Campground, which is a year-round operation. Admittedly, most of their business is in the summer, but there are people who have their trailers there year-round and do stay there. The county health department was sending out a letter, and they got notice from the governor's council that was contrary to the governor's essential order, and that those were being viewed as accommodations. And so we are at a bit of a standoff right now. I have spoken with Dylan Miyoshi, who is the governor's regional representative. I have not spoken with him actually. I left him a voicemail. I sent him a text, and I left him a message at his office with his assistant expressing our sincere displeasure. This change. Apparently in Sullivan County, I believe I'm told that from Supervisor Hauk that the town of Fallsburg did just this and had some pretty serious repercussions because it's being viewed as counter to the governor's directive. I do know the county's response to us now is tell the governor. So I will share Mr. Miyoshi's information with all of you by email, and if you want to call or text or whatever, please do. We all feel from the county pretty strongly about it. I will say the majority of the supervisors on the phone calls are very disappointed by this decision. I don't know what it actually really means yet because it is being pushed back, and who knows, it could all change by tomorrow. It could have all changed already by now. The only thing, and I'm sure Mary Lou can tell you, the only thing certain about all this is that as soon as you figure out something, it changes. And that's reaction to what's happening. That's really nobody's fault. It's just reactions to things. I will say in general, the county executive has done an amazing job of keeping people informed. He's doing almost daily, if not daily, town halls, with getting a lot of information out there. Mark Ryder from his office has, I think, had one day off since he called me on March 8th to inform me that we had the first case in Ulster County. We are now, by the way, sitting at 10. We have remained at 10 for most of this week, if not the whole week. And the thing I keep looking at is the percentage of positive tests versus the number of tests. And it's staying right around 16%. And to me, that's very heartening because even though the test number is increasing considerably, the percentage of people testing positive is staying at about 16%. So, and remember, these are people that are being sent for tests to these two facilities in either in Ellenville or in Ulster, or going to their own doctor for testing. So many of these people are experiencing symptoms, but they're not testing positive. So I think we're doing pretty well in comparison to seeing what other places are doing, like New York City. We are not anywhere near in huge, in my opinion. We have to be aware. We have to continue to maintain social distancing. We have to stress to people, stay home, don't go out if you don't need to. But I think we are doing okay, and we all seem to be making it through. So I'll leave it at that. If anybody else has anything else they want to say, if not, I'll turn it over to Chris.
Mike, I have a quick
Yes.
question. Chris, I'm
Yes.
sorry. I'm not sure whether you were saying the short-term rentals could be open or could not. And were you saying Rondout could be open or could not? I'm sorry, I just wasn't clear.
No, and that's okay. The answer is yes, they can both stay open. The short-term rentals have not been stopped. Even though many of us know if people were coming up to a short-term rental and staying for a month, I think many of us would not have concerns. It's the people coming up to get out of the city for a weekend that is really, and Rob Stanley in Shandaken is really experiencing it. They have one grocery store in, I don't know, I don't even want to guess the number, radius of miles. And they just can't handle the influx of the demand of groceries. And the people who live there year round are really suffering because probably their population has almost doubled because of people coming and staying at short-term rentals. However, they are being viewed as an accommodation right now. So it's a dilemma. We have our list. There's nothing we can really do. We can't tell people that they can't rent out their space unless the governor says they can't. So that's where we stand.
Mike, for everyone viewing, you mentioned Project Resilience and how it's anyone that just is requesting a meal can get it. How can people sign up for that?
Well, the short answer is, if you know somebody who wants the service, all you need to do is get me their name, address, and phone number, and I'll put them on the list. How they can, if they want to sign up themselves, there is a county website. If they Google search Project Resilience, but add the word Ulster County, because I've learned there's other Project Resiliences throughout the country with the same name. So if you Google that, it will take you directly to the link, and on it is a box you can click saying you're looking for service. It's a fill in blank. There's about 6 or 7 questions. It's mostly name, address, phone number. There is a section if you need additional services, and they are trying their best to funnel them through to the Department of Social Services, the additional services. We have not had many people fill them out in Rochester. The biggest thing people are asking for in Rochester is transportation. And I think we've had a couple people ask for that.
Let me just add, Aaron and everyone who's listening, that there's an easy hotline, 211, and it's run by United Way, and that hotline then distributes calls to need. So Family of
great.
Woodstock handles food and abuse, shelters, but United Way helps to filter all the calls from 211 to what people need.
And I want to give United Way full credit. They are the ones funding this Project Resilience. And it really is a twofold thing. I mean, I'm not going to kid myself. 3 meals a week is not nourishing, sustaining somebody totally. But what it's doing is a restaurant being able to sell 100 meals. They're getting paid $10 a meal. If anybody who's ever been in a restaurant business or in a food business, Chris, I know you can absolutely attest to this. $10 is probably breaking even, if that. These people are not doing it to make money, but they're able to keep their doors open.
That's right. It's an amazing idea. We're providing 200 meals every Friday, so we're getting $2,000, but we're using environmentally friendly packaging. We're doing farm to table. Our ideals haven't changed. Our values are still about farm to table and environmentalism. So $10 a meal helps us cover costs, but it's difficult, but it's actually amazing how everyone sprang into action.
Yeah, and the county has it's probably, originally it was 90 restaurants that volunteered, and I'm certain that that number is significantly higher now. Chris, you may have better information. I haven't seen those numbers recently, but I forgot how many meals that they've already served. And anybody who wants to donate to it, you should make your donations directly to the United Way. I believe you can earmark it specifically toward Project Resilience. I don't know, Chris, you may know more. So if anybody else has any other questions, so I guess the short answer is we don't know what this all means for the camps. They are what they are right now. The Rondout Valley Campground will continue to remain open until we're told that they can't be. They are the only ones in our town that are currently open. I do know that Supervisor Hauk is concerned about bungalow colonies and people coming up to them. We have not really seen that yet, but we will continue to monitor it, and I'll keep you all informed. So I'll turn it over to you, Chris.
Cool. I know how busy we've all been, so I don't want to occupy too much of your time. I'm just going to share an article in the chat. It was published in Mid-Hudson News this week about our new digital resilience market. We're in the process. So on the chat now, you guys can see that the link is midhudsonnews.com. And if anyone wants to search it on their own, I searched Mid-Hudson News current resilience.
Okay.
So I sent all of you the economic resilience plan that I wrote 2 years ago, and it's amazing that now the whole region has sprung into a mode of resilience. The county called their Project Resilience, and I'm in a meeting every week now with about 30 nonprofits where we're planning not only mutual aid, but also how a local currency can stabilize our economy during a recession. So the document that I shared with all of you that I wrote 2 years ago is about how a community can spring into action to create recession readiness and recession-proof economy. So many things are happening, and it's so great to be in a county where we have so much support, but other regions, other states, other counties need help. So now my organization is springing into action to help other counties too. So I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you're all busy springing into action, but check out that article and that'll get you started on knowing what we're up to. Thanks for the time, Mike.
Thank you. And you know, do follow the county executive's Facebook page when you can, and go to his if you can watch his town halls. There's a lot of information out there right now. I just people have really come together throughout this. I would never expect anything less from the town of Rochester, or even the county, but people have really come together and weathered this well. With that, the next thing I have on the agenda is for us to talk about the transfer station and the UCRA. I just wanted to give you a brief update. They are continuing business as usual. They are not able, though, to take individual residents recycling, and they only will accept individual residents refuse on Saturdays, just as they always have done. So all the transfer stations in Ulster County continue to operate. As I said earlier, we we closed the free pile. We continue to stress to people social distancing. The one thing I will say to people is try to go at off hour times when possible. Saturdays still gets really, really crowded. We probably do 60 to 70% of our business on Saturdays. But now with people not working, I know habits are hard to break, but if people can try to go on Tuesdays and Fridays instead, it will help to just spread people apart. And get rid of your garbage. I know it's easy to, it's a congregation place and I get it, but try to just take care of your business and leave. It's not that we don't want you, but we'd want to try to continue moving people in and out as quickly as possible. So, that's all I have to say on that. Does anybody have any questions on it?
Mike, is there any reason? Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
I don't have any questions, but I was gonna say two things. One, the transfer station busiest hours is in the afternoon after 1. So people that want to go at a slower time, get there earlier in the day. And then the second thing is I've got some signs that I can post as helpful reminders that I'm hoping to bring by tomorrow.
Great, thank you for that.
Mike, is there any reason that we can't limit the amount of people dumping at the same time? I'm just saying that, they have to go and punch their ticket anyway. And maybe if we only let 1 or 2 people through at a time, and when they're finished, somebody else in, maybe that could certainly help in high volume times.
It's a very valid point. And I know the town of Hurley, I saw one of the town councilmen posted on Facebook last night that they are stopping people actually at the gate. Now, I don't know their transfer station, so I don't know their procedure of how they go. And they are only letting 1 vehicle in at a time. If we were to do that, we'd be backed out way out on the airport road for certain. I'm willing to talk about that idea some more, and I'll chat with Harry and see if there's a way we can maybe implement a bit of a slow down.
Yeah, I mean,
how
those
we
guys
deal
are
with
so
it.
good down there that,
Yeah.
if they had 5 cars backed up, it obviously wouldn't be all the way out on the airport road,
Yeah.
but it might only have 2 or 3 people dumping at a time.
I think if we limit it to 3 people at a time and then we monitor it, when one leaves, we let another one go. That may be a way to go. It really may be. I plan to try to go sort of view myself what it looks like on Saturday. I've been there during the week. I fully admit I have not been there on a Saturday in March. I know, Aaron, you were probably there early in the month, but now I'm sure you're not going there right now either. So,
Yeah, I'm planning on going this week. I wanted to check it out and see, I'm also operating personally an essential business. So these ideas of regulating the number of people in a given time have been working out really well. And I think we could talk about implementing something like that.
okay. Well, I'll look forward to what your feedback is, Aaron, after this weekend, and see what any ideas we can come up with. And thank you, Adam. I think that's a great idea.
Hey, Mike, what
Yes.
if you extended hours on short time right now? If they stayed open till 5 or 6 o'clock, do you think that would help?
I don't know. What do you think, Aaron?
I think that's an excellent idea.
We could open more days during the workday because they're already working, and we could open maybe for 4 hours or 3 hours on a Thursday or something. I mean, we would have to have it staffed, and I'm just throwing out a day without really thinking about it. But we have cut back on our staff. They're all taking 1 more day off a week than they used to.
Mike, one way, I don't know how much it costs to just keep the transfer station open, but we could have the same amount of staff over a bigger open time. So we have less staff there, but we have more days that we're open.
Right.
I really like this kind of thinking.
Yeah. we could maybe stagger our staff instead of giving them another day off, just swapping them days around and stuff. I don't want to impose on them with working more than 8 hours unless we really have to, especially in light that we're not paying other employees, or we're paying other employees, excuse me, to not work. To me, I know they're essential and the other employees are deemed non-essential, but I just don't want to wear out our essential employees either. So I want to kind of be fair to them. Let's have conversation about it, Aaron, and see if we can come up with, and Kate, maybe you and I can talk tomorrow too and come up with some ideas.
Okay.
Great ideas, everybody. Thank you. Let me go back into the shared screen real quick here. Got a request from the Shangam Journal. I'm gonna try to put it up real quick here. As you know, and Chris can attest to this, newspapers in general have a lot of problems right now, but as you can imagine, in this time, there's no advertising. So Amberly Campbell from the Shangam Journal, which is our paper, she sent me this email the other day. I have shared it with you all. They're basically asking that we advertise with them, if possible. This is what they're asking for. They're asking basically for a $250 a week type of ad. What they're offering is the equivalent of $600 a week. I'm open to conversation on it. I'll be honest, that would be $1,000 a month. That, given our financial situation, and I told her, I said, I really don't want to seem like a negative person, but I don't see the town being in a position to be able to do it. And
My question,
I was very sad to say that, but I just don't see us in a position to spend $250 a week. She said we can put whatever we want in those, essentially ads.
that's what I was just gonna ask, Mike. What would we put? On a normal basis, we don't put, so why would
No,
we
but we
now?
could put information, any of the information we're sharing on the website. I realize it's redundant. It's more, and don't deny this, it's more to support the newspaper to keep it
Yeah.
running.
Hey, Mike,
we-
maybe just a thought. One of the things we might be able to do is, since we do advertise with them for public meetings, any way we could prepay maybe 6 or 8 months in advance to give them an infusion of cash, knowing that we're going to need that anyway, but at least that would help them in the short term.
I can ask her.
That's
I
a
can
great
absolutely
idea.
ask her if that's an option, because we're going to be advertising quite a bit, because we're going to have to advertise every video meeting for a while. So
Yeah. That's like a CSA, Adam, like we pay in advance for what we know we need anyway.
There you
Yeah.
go. At least that'll give them an infusion until they're back to the.
Let me just ask the board, and I would ask for a resolution, but let me just put this out as an idea. What if we made a prepayment of $250? I mean, most of our ads are in the range, our public notices are in the range of $15 to $25. That would be probably 10 to 12 public notices.
I'm not going to weigh in too heavily. I'm leaning closer to 1,000 prepay because as a publisher, it costs me $7,000 every month to go to press, and every single advertiser pulled out this month.
Right.
I have $0 to go to press.
Yeah.
What if
Again-
we split the difference and go with 500? That gives us 20. That'll take us to the end of the year,
But
probably.
I just want to be clear. This is not for us to take out ads. This is a prepayment.
Yes,
We will
Yes.
give them, and
yes.
it will be a drawdown for our, essentially, they're giving us a line of credit. We're giving them $500, and we're going to draw it down until we're back to zero.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Correct?
Exactly.
Okay. So if that's the case, I'd ask for a motion on that then.
I'll make the motion to, and we agreed at $500 to prepay $500 worth of postings to the Schwangum Journal.
Okay, and this is pending they're agreeing to it,
Of
obviously.
course.
Do I have a second?
I'll second, but
Okay.
should we extend it, Adam, to say that we are prepaying this, not taking ads?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't have the need to advertise other than for
So
our
it's
normal.
prepaying for public notices.
Yes.
Okay. Mary Lou, just a quick question. There's no legal issues with this that you can see?
No, the only concern, and I hate to say this, is what if they do go out of business and you've prepaid for this and you lose your money?
I think it's a risk we're willing to take.
Right, that's the question. Just
Okay.
be aware of that. I hate to even think of such a thing.
Understood. And we have budget lines for public notices, so I'll just split it up accordingly over those budget lines. Mary Lou, can I go ahead, since the board is voting to do this, I can go ahead and pay the bill and they can audit it later?
Yes, as long as
Because
the
they're approving me with this resolution.
publisher agrees. Yes.
Okay. So any other discussion? Okay, Kate, roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock.
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay, moving on to back to our agenda. The next item I just want to bring to your attention, Resolution 44, which is our town contractual services that we approved at the organizational meeting. There they all are. Normally in April, I send out the letter to all these organizations indicating that we would like to make this payment to them. They send back their acceptance and provide to us what they did with the money on the previous year. I just want, we don't even need a resolution. We've already approved it. I want to make sure that the board is comfortable with me sending these letters out in the month of April and moving forward as business as usual.
Mike, I don't know if,
Oops.
yeah, we can't see it. Can you share your
Oh,
screen?
I'm sorry. I forgot to
That's
hit
okay.
share. Apologies.
No worries.
There you go. These were, as you remember, these are all the groups that we have given money to over the years, and the first aid squad is already done through the contract. But these are all the agencies that we are allowed to support through, because they do shared services, community funding. Recreation, we're allowed to give to other organizations who provide recreation. We're allowed to give to veterans who provide library service, museum, things that we don't provide that outside organizations provide. So,
Mike, do we get reports?
We
Suffice it to
will,
say, what,
yep, when I send them the letter, we do not get the detailed financial statement that we get from the rescue squad from everybody.
no.
Usually I ask them to tell us what they spent the money on from the previous year. Some, as you can imagine, are much more elaborate than others. Certainly it's up to our discretion to look year to year, and if we don't think it's going to, good cause, we can always choose to either lower or end the funding. So,
I was particularly interested in the Cohonson pool end,
okay.
because sometimes when I
And I will
speak,
tell you, I did ask the town of Warsing for a statement of it last year, and I did not receive it back. So,
I wondered.
yeah.
I wondered.
I was told though that they wanted to ask us for more money.
That's what yes.
It has been that 20,000 for I don't know how long. I mean, it dates
Also,
back, I believe, to the Harold Lipton days, that 20,000. So,
Mike, I'm not positive, but I think years ago, there was some sort of contract for that.
okay.
So maybe we can, on that particular one, look and see.
Okay. I will, and maybe Kate, maybe you can help me see if there is a record of a contract for that from past years that has just been carried over.
Okay.
So,
I'm not aware of one, but possibly.
yeah.
Yeah,
Was-
it was before any of your times.
Maybe
I
not,
believe.
Mary Lou. Maybe not.
Before your town board time, you were always around.
The Stone Ridge Library, what they do is they provide, Marbletown residents have to pay library tax. Stone Ridge Library offers to Rochester residents the ability to use. And what they do is they figure the equivalent amount of what somehow they figure out the equivalent amount of a subscription based on what the tax is to be equal to what the Marbletown residents are paying. And we get in the neighborhood of about 100 subscriptions every year. And they do fill up pretty rapidly. Usually by April, May, they are filled up for the year. And we have continued to do that with them. Okay, if there's no other questions or concerns, we will move on to the next agenda item. I wanted to just sort of bring you up to speed on the IT consultant. I have heard from many other towns about cybersecurity. You may have seen in the Freeman a very real example of what happened recently when the town of Esopus was holding one of these Zoom meetings. I think to be honest, I think they opened the call-in number up, or the video up to the public, because somebody came in, took over the account and hijacked the meeting, uttered a bunch of racial slurs, put video up that was of terrorist activities. And somehow they were able to get control back of the meeting, and they ended the meeting and then reopened in a closed format. But we're in a day and age where people love to hack into things just to prove they can. They may not even be malicious. They might just be bored. Who knows? But we really have to move into the modern age. So we have these 4 quotes that we got. We've all agreed that one of them is not realistic. However, the way we did it and the way I did it was informational. We asked each person to come in, look at our system, and tell us what they thought we needed. So we don't have apples to apples comparisons. What we have is their view of what we need. And I also don't know that everybody was viewing the needs the same way. One company gave us prices for all rewiring of the internet and new interface boxes and things like that, whereas the other ones were just sort of computers, server, and consulting and monitoring. So what I'd like to do with the board's permission is I'm going to take all those together, try to write an RFP that is going to be an apples to apples comparison. I am trying to work with the state Department of Procurement, but you can imagine right now it's very difficult to see what we could purchase for equipment directly through New York State bid. We may or may not save money that way on computers. Sometimes people can offer cheaper things than on a state bid. So that's where we stand on it. We really can't move forward with the best value though until we adopt that local law. So I'm going to continue to work on writing it. I continue to be in contact with those 3 companies to let them know, yes, we haven't forgotten about you, and we'll go from there. So does anybody have any questions? If not, we'll move on.
Just a comment, would you want to ask Rich Miller anything about what goes on with this? I don't know. I
have had
does
conversations with him on it. And
Okay.
matter of fact, right now he's helping me. We're trying to purchase a laptop right now for Becky,
Okay.
because her computer is we're really beginning to have problems with her computer. And the other thing with the laptop is she can work from home, and then she can
Very
work
good.
every day of the week. Because right now she and Jerry are doing it every other day. And that department, more than any other department, is really being hampered because they really need to work side by side for them to really work well together. Because many things involve sharing drawings and paperwork and
Right.
things. And so talking on the phone doesn't always make it so easy. But yes, I have talked with Rich about some of it. I wanted to just be sure that the board was all on the same page with moving forward with that, to actually get a real RFP out, so then we can do an apples to apples comparison. No other questions. We'll move on to building conditions RFP. I gave you the document that I did last month. I did make the one correction in there that was correcting Kate's name since I had put it in as Denon. I have no idea where that one came from. But anyway, I don't think now is the time to put that out because until we know what's going on, certainly people can't come view our buildings. They can't come walk around. So I think we just sort of put that whole thing on hold for the moment. But I'm asking you all to look at it pretty hard and see what you think. If you know, email me if you have any questions, comments, changes, ideas. And I think when this is all said and done, it's something we should move towards so we can get a handle on our infrastructure.
If we put this out for RFP, Mike, would we have a time frame on it so that we would be
Absolutely.
looking at it from this year to the next year? Would they give us a projected, you know,
One of
what would
the
need
one
to
of
be
the
done?
requests is that they tell us three things. One is things that need to be addressed immediately,
Correct.
things that need to be addressed in the near future, in the short term, and things that need to be addressed in the long term. We also asked them for a full-blown 5-year plan that the architect or engineer who does the survey will create a 5-year plan and say, okay, in year 1, these are what you need to do. In year 2, this is what you need to do. In year 3, this is what you need to do. And this is all based off of what school districts are required to do. And when I was on the school board, that's what was being. I was on the building and grounds committee, or the I think that's what it was called. Anyway, we were working on. We were taking the plan that existed and was finished and trying to come up with the capital projects plan, which did get all changed with new superintendents, but it kind of is what it is. But that's what we'll get from them, B. And I'm asking, there's 14 structures that I've identified in the town of Rochester that are owned by the town. And they would review each one and make a recommendation by building, including all the grounds surrounding it, parking lots, curbing. Here, they would do the park area as well. So
What I meant in that as well is, do we set a time frame on them for completing it?
well,
I mean, we're not gonna.
this
you know,
isn't them doing the work. This is a consultant coming in.
Correct.
Oh, yeah, no, there is a time frame for them to do the survey.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking.
And in the bid process, there's a very spelled out time frame from the day the bids are opened.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's all in there.
I thought
Actually,
it was.
it's not even from when the bids are opened, it's from when the bids go out. There would be a time period where they can ask questions and
Right.
have, because with an RFP, any questions you answer to one company, you have to answer the same question to anybody who requests that
Correct.
answer.
Or you can ask that they all show up at a meeting and
We
answer their
also, I did
questions
put
at one
that, I
time.
put an optional meeting for anyone who wanted to attend, which obviously right now we couldn't do.
No, not now.
And then, yeah. And so take a look at the package. It's modeled after a couple different school districts. I kind of did my usual. I borrowed from this school district and borrowed from that school district and put it all together to make a version that I think works for us. So
There's nothing out from a town that we could borrow, anything that other towns have done?
there wasn't much out there, but it's kind of buildings are buildings, you know. I mean, I admit with a school, you're looking at a much bigger building, a much bigger system, but
And a much bigger budget.
well, but this budget doesn't matter. The budget is whatever. I don't mean it doesn't matter, but
I
our
know.
budget is our budget for it. Obviously, if they're doing a school, it's going to the price they quote. It's done basically. The price is quoted based on square feet, so
Okay.
so much per square foot.
Okay,
So and I've calculated an approximate square footage of the number of buildings based on the records from Mike Dunham of the square
Okay.
footage of all these town buildings.
right.
And I included everything, including like the dog kennel, the pavilion at the park, because it all needs to be looked at.
Sure.
So Mike, the other thing too is again, we need to take a look at a 5-year plan, only because, the highway department has one. If they, for bridges and culverts and things like that, the school district has one. We really do need to budget and forecast, beyond what we can see, just at the end of our arm, and into the future. So we know kind of what's coming up, so we don't get blindsided. And we do have to adjust the insurance to reflect it accordingly to make sure we're not under or
Absolutely.
overinsured.
And it's been done over the last 15, 20 years. It's been done piecemeal. I mean, a new roof here, a new roof there, other than the fact that the community center addition happened, and that was a major project, but that was all funded by the New York Rising thing. Everything else has just been reacting to a problem and fixing it. But there's no money put aside. I mean, 17,000 in our capital projects account. That's not very much. I don't know. I don't really know what 17,000 gets us. Not very much. A roof was $8,000. So there we go. So we really need to be thinking long range so we can start budgeting and projecting this out. And it goes with the discussion of what do we want to do? Some of these buildings are getting old. Do we want to explore the idea of a new town hall down the road? Where does it want to be? All this. But I think this is the first step to, you got to know what you have before you can know what you want. And this will give us the baseline of what we have. And I think it can be done fairly reasonably. There might even be some grant money out there for it. I don't know, because who knows what grants are going to be like in the near future, but we'll see. Ironically, you mentioned insurance, Adam. These are 2 agenda items that came up after I put out the agenda. I was contacted by our insurance agent, Dwight, and he sent me 2 policies that he is recommending that we consider. Let me just find them. They're in the board packet. The first is an environmental insurance policy. Let me open the document. This came about because when I talked to him after we had the oil leak at the community center from the fuel tank, I said, do we have any kind of coverage? He said, only if you had an oil spill. Say somebody was delivering oil and it was spilled, we would have had coverage. You don't have coverage over a leaky tank. This could have covered us if we had had this policy. So Adam, I know we always say you're an insurance guy and you understand this, but I know this is not your type of insurance, but at least you understand the business.
Sure.
So I'm asking that you all take a look at this policy. Obviously, I'm not asking for a decision tonight. This is a policy that he recommends we have. It would cover those type of things. Although I will tell you that tank is probably never going to leak again, because the technology of it, we will never have a problem with that tank. That doesn't mean we won't have a problem with some other tank. So he recommends that. He also recommends a policy on cybersecurity, which many other towns have taken out, and that is the policy here. We can add these at any time. The premium would be $1,000 for it. There's 2 options. One is 1,000, one is 1,200.
That's per year, Mike.
Yep, that's per year. It does appear that obviously the 1,200 has a higher range of coverage. Take a look, see what you think. See if you have any opinions on it, and we'll move forward from there. So, and then the
Just
last thing,
Mike, just real quick,
Yep.
I mean to interrupt, but it kind of goes into the other 2 things that we're just talking about, that we won't know what to insure until we know what we have,
right?
as tanks and things like that go. And the same thing with the IT infrastructure. As I was digging down into some of those proposals, some of the maintenance agreements for the for the IT and servers would already have something like that built into them.
Agreed.
So we'd have to, all this kind of stuff goes together, all three of these pieces.
Sure. And then the last thing to talk to you about is showed up in my email box on the 31st. You remember last, are you seeing the screen share or not yet?
No.
Okay.
No.
Cell tower leases. B and Chris, you'll remember this came about last year toward the end of the year. We got
Absolutely.
an email from the company who leases land from us for the 2 cell towers. They're both American Tower is the company who leases land from us for the Airport Road site and the 209 site. I included the current copy of the leases in the what I sent you today. I don't want to talk details about a contract, about a proposal on a public internet, but you'll see there's an email for each site. They are offering 3 different options. One option is for a payment of a certain amount of money to extend the current contract by a certain number of 5-year periods, and I don't remember what the number was. The second option was an ultimate, just a buyout of it, so they would continue using it in terms of a payment in lieu, a one-time payment, which I will say was a very lucrative payment. But bear in mind that right now we get in the neighborhood of 110 to 120,000 a year off these cell towers, and that number is based on it's a percentage of the rent that they charge from the companies who put their antennas on the towers. The third option was a little more intriguing. It was a number of lump sum payments, either monthly or annually for a 10-year period. Don't know. Obviously all that is in place of what we're getting now. What we're getting now is pretty good, considering we do nothing for it. The only thing we do is we plow the road, and that's it. So they can get in the wintertime. That's the extent of what we do. They do pay taxes on that piece of land that they rent from us, on the improvements, not on the land itself, but they pay taxes on the tower. They would continue to pay taxes even with this agreement. So look at the numbers. Like I said, I don't want to talk contract because obviously there could be other companies that may want to come in and talk to us too. So
Mike, would it behoove us to have a spreadsheet on this? Old
there really is
versus
no
the 3?
spreadsheet. If you read the email, that's, I mean, I could do a spreadsheet, but it's hard to project what the revenue is going to raise to each year.
Correct.
It's been pretty steady, right, lately, about anywhere between 100 and 128,000 a year for the
What?
2.
I didn't
Per
even know.
tower.
I
It's
was,
about 60,000 per tower.
Mhm.
We're getting for the 2 towers about 120,000.
Well, yeah, but I was more, is there any increase percentage-wise
Oh,
per year? That was all.
Yeah, there is a breaker point in the contract coming up where our percentage will increase slightly, but
Okay,
it's a small percentage increase. I could do that. It's hard to project because we don't know their revenue. I mean, they
correct.
report their monthly revenue to us for each from each company. They do have to provide an accounting for us, but we have no idea what they're going to get or not get.
Yeah,
I do know as companies merge, there is a possibility that 2 companies that are 2 carriers that are on at least one and maybe on both towers are in discussions with the federal, with
mhm.
FCC about merging. If they merge, does one of those antennas go away? I don't know.
Yeah,
That lowers our income. So, and your point that you've made before, B, is well taken. As they're not offering this to us for free. They're making money somehow.
yeah, I just haven't figured it out in my
But-
mind yet.
But the question is, can
We just want to
it's
maintain the
speculation.
revenue.
We want to maintain the revenue, but there's a lot we could do with a nice little one-shot deal.
I read the numbers today. I
Yeah.
looked at the numbers. I
I
had,
will
yes.
say, the numbers were a little astounding to me, especially the rise of what between now and what was offered last summer or early fall.
Early fall. Yeah.
And I could share those numbers with the board. I'd have to go back and dig up those emails, but
Right.
the numbers that were shared earlier were not very close to.
And we
these
said
numbers.
that there was something going on.
Yeah.
Well, I felt that there was something going on, that they were
My
going to make
personal
more
take
money.
on it is it may have something to do with 5G, but I don't know. We also,
I want to applaud you, Mike, for looking into it so well, because like we talked about last year, if we asked questions and got some proposals, they would make a better deal. And it looks like they're making better deals.
oh
think-
yeah, I mean, I kept putting the guy off and putting him off, and
Yeah.
and then the last time he emailed me, which was probably November, December, he said, "Sit tight. The proposal we gave you before is no longer valid. I'm working on a new one."
Okay.
And I didn't hear another word from him until Tuesday. I opened up my email, and boom, there they were.
Awesome.
And I
I
responded
think
to
you're
him immediately.
trailblazing. You're trailblazing in a way that the other supervisors are going to learn a lot from.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I reached back out to him and I said, "Thank you for your offer, sir." I said, given the situation, I don't know if we'll have any answers in the real short term, but I'll bring this to the board for discussion. So that's what I'm doing. I'm bringing it to you for discussion. We can certainly, I think this is probably executive session material because we're discussing a contract. So I see Mary Lou nodding.
Mhm.
So I think that's probably the
That's
answer.
it.
Well, I have a motion to adjourn.
Well,
Nope, he's got one more thing.
I got one more thing. If any board members have anything they want to bring up that we haven't talked about tonight, and then we'll adjourn.
I
'Cause
do
they
have a
are over
question.
2 hours.
I know. I do have a question regarding the fines that were enacted on Modern, whatever that company
Modern
was in
Leasing.
court when Mary Lou was there. I'm
Yes.
wondering what we're doing to follow up on that. Do we not have to stay on that money to try to collect that money?
We do, and I have to have more conversation with Mary Lou to see where that goes, and Rich to see where that goes
I
next.
just don't want it to, I know we're in doing this whole COVID thing, which everybody expects to slow down. But in this particular instance, dealing with the entity we're dealing with, maybe we would collect if we got them now, as opposed to allowing them to go out there and do
Can
something
I
else.
make a suggestion? Could we
Sure.
perhaps discuss this in our attorneys meeting?
We
Because
may, of course. Of
okay,
course.
thank you.
Yeah, but I just wanted to not let it fall.
Okay.
I'm writing it down,
I'm
babe.
assuming that's
Thank
probably
you.
one of Mary Lou's things on her list to talk about in the attorney's meeting, because
May have been.
yeah.
May have been.
Anybody else have anything else? And if not, we've been on for about a little over
Aaron.
2 hours, and I want to say
Aaron.
thank you to everybody.
Erin,
Aaron, thank you.
no.
I just wanted to say something. I just wanted to say thank you so much to all of our town employees and departments for adapting and keeping running. And Mike, thank you so much for keeping open lines of communication with the board and just acknowledging that this is a really difficult time and we're all having to make lots of decisions. And we'll just continue to try to take care of each other and all the residents of the town. And I've been very impressed for, overall so far. So good job, everybody.
Thank you. And thank you all for struggling through this. We had a few little hiccups, but getting started but I think it went fairly successfully, and I'm sure we're going to be doing more of these for the short term anyway. So
And
thank you again.
Thanks, Aaron.
before Chris makes his motion, I just want to say goodnight to, Carol and Charlie and the rest of the regulars.
Yeah.
Mary
Yeah.
Lou, that is the perfect way to end the meeting. On that note, Chris, it's all yours.
Thanks, everybody. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, we can just do all in favor. Aye.
Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you all. I'm going to
Good night,
end the meeting.
everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.